and then I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I want to welcome those of you in attendance as well as those that might be watching on Cable TV 7 to tonight's Blue Springs City Council meeting. The next item is the consent agenda. Staff asked that I pull item C to be considered at the next council meeting. So we will ask for approval of all the consent agenda items except item C. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Cordell?
Aye.
Councilman Levesey?
Aye.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Bowerman?
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
Next, we have a presentation by the Blue Springs Chamber of Commerce. Topic, Buy Blue Springs. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Appreciate you listening to us tonight and talking to us about the program, the Buy Blue Springs and Discover Blue Springs program. I think this is our third presentation to you, so we've been here 3 years and hopefully many more after this. I would also like to acknowledge we have several members in the audience here to support the program. If you could stand, please.
All right.
Appreciate it very much. I'm just going to walk through some slides tonight. I'm not going to read the slides, but I'll just kind of give you some updates about what we've been doing and what we're going to do. So we're working here. Okay. Obviously, here's our mission of the Chamber. The Chamber currently manages both programs with volunteer task forces. I'm on the board of the Chamber, and I'm the director of the Buy Blue Springs and Discover programs right now. We have many volunteers that help us with both programs, and you will see what we've been doing in the last couple of years and then the next 2 years as we're going to talk through this. The programs are similar but different. The goal of each program is to desire more businesses and residents in Blue Springs to buy locally. The audience for the Buy Blue Springs program is primarily for residents and businesses, and the audience for Discover program is for visitors to our community. Excuse me. As you have seen before, we've increased spending in our community, and it does a wealth of goods. With visitor spending, it also reduces taxes paid by the existing residents and encourages historic preservation, as we're all looking at these days. We have just completed a 2-year agreement with the city, provided the Chamber $5,000 each year for 2 years to promote Buy Blue Springs and Discover Blue Springs. First of all, I want to update you on the Buy Blue Springs activities. As you can see in our next slide, is Little Blue, our mascot. And you'll see Little Blue throughout the community in events and sporting events, programs like that. He's in high demand these days, and he does a great job of representing our program. Now, the basis for our program is a Buy Blue Springs website. This website is similar to Amazon.com that you will see on the internet. And what it does basically is allows local companies the opportunity to add products to the site. And basically, it's just what you see in Amazon.com. From office supplies, from services, to insurance programs, to jewelry. We have many, many current local businesses, and I mean local businesses, on the website. It basically encourages businesses and residents to buy local first. As you can see, the website changes, I'll jump back there, with the themes of a holiday or season. And I'll get into that a little bit later about the seasons, what I'm talking about, not holiday seasons. But basically, the task force monitors hits on the site very closely. And we are continually working to increase the traffic on the site. Some of the numbers from the first year of the program were decent, but we've increased dramatically. We had 100 starter kits, if you can recall past, in the first year we came to you guys and asked you for monies to start with the kits. We've basically moved away from the kits and moved totally onto the website and advertising to get the website marketed within the community. In the first year, we had 53 providers and 318 products. Then we started really pushing the marketing of the program. Right now, in year 2, we have 163 providers, so we've gone 3 times as many in the first 2 years. There's Little Blue again, our little mascot, who's definitely requested for many community events, as I mentioned in the past. We have over 1,000 products on the site now, too, which obviously, if you have enough products on the site, it draws back more folks to see what other local vendors and businesses have. So the more the merrier, as they say. In July of 2012, a couple months ago, we had the most visits ever in a 30-day period to the site. So our marketing process is working. And as you know about websites, it's hard to drive people to a website, and we're managing that with a very limited budget. Now, here's some of the web stats. Get right over here. The top category search was shopping and specialty retail with 35,405 hits. Great number for any website. The second most hit category was business and professional services with 34,148 hits. The top product listed was Adam Point Conference Center with 7,121 hits, which shows you it's just not a goods product website. It's a services website too. So it really expands the base for every business in the community. We wanted to make it work for all of us in the community. And the top source of traffic was directed by BlueSprings.com. Google and the Examiner were also referring sites. We are now planning for our next Buy Blue Springs week. Here are some of the activities we did in 2011. And additionally, for 2012, we've got some new ideas. We're doing a water bill insert, which we've done in the past, and we always see a spike when we do this. More people see that in their water bill, and they jump on the site and see what's going on. It's kind of like a mini blog to let people know what's new and fresh on the site. We also advertised in the school district magazine, Blueprint, and 313 people have followed us on our Facebook page. Staying current in our social media. Okay, that summarizes a little bit about Buy Blue Springs. I'm going to jump into Discover Blue Springs, which is the site I discussed previously about drawing tourists to our community and where they go once they get here. And I didn't know if you knew this or not, but this is the only tourism site effort in the city of Blue Springs community. So that is a huge deal for us. And remember, this is primarily targeted for visitors to our community. The website, again, is called discoverbluesprings.com. And you can see Little Blue is incorporated into this site as well, as we see Little Blue at other community events that visitors come to, like the Wood Bat Tournament, like we'll talk about in a little bit, Fall Fun Fest, and the local soccer tournament that we have on contract for 3 years with the school district. So once those folks get to us, we want to be able to direct them to our businesses and where to go within the city, at parks, whatever it may be, so they can obviously utilize all of the community. Okay, in the first year, compliments, whatever. Compliments, all right, whatever. Were several. We established the web presence, which we saw. We initiated a cooperative marketing program with local merchants for billboards. We created several brochures. And you guys may have seen the billboards on I-70 just before Concordia when you're driving into the community. There were 4 billboards. They were paid for by several sources, the Discover Blue Springs program, and local merchants that split the cost of that. And they're still up there today. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've paid for it. I think they just haven't been replaced, and we're getting a little free PR out of this. So,
What company is that on? Is it Lamar? You know what company it is?
I don't recall. Who was it?
It's not Lamar Mayor.
It was not Lamar, but I don't recall who the company was.
And you got media, there's a whole bunch of them. Okay. But right now, they're still there.
They are still up.
We're
We're
not
still
paying
getting
for it.
the press out of them, so it's great. One good thing about that business, so. And there's a portion of those signs right there. First one, the second, third, and fourth as you come through. We also had a brochure which was printed. We did this in-house initially to cut costs, and it basically was a map of the city which listed local businesses to give out to folks when they came into town, when they came to a wood bat tournament, when they came to the Fall Fun Fest, so they could see where to go. Because, with your phones these days, you can obviously get there, but this, if you don't have a phone and you don't have a web presence on your phone, there's obviously still the hard copy that still works well for us. We printed up 5,000 of these initially, and then we sent some to the state tourism sites and distributed the rest in our community. And we've ordered another 10,000 because these things are moving pretty well and people are utilizing them. So, okay, here's some website statistics for the Discover Blue Springs. Not as high as by Blue Springs, but still well represented because obviously we're going to a different demographic here. We had 2,679 people visit the site. The average time spent on the site was 2 minutes and 21 seconds, which is pretty good on average. Average pages visited were 2.8, which is another good stat. And this sourced from bluesprings.gov, which is obviously right in the middle of the Main Street over there, coming back to us. So people were looking somewhere that Google may have hit bluespringsgov first and then came back over here to give them some more options within the community. And the second largest source was Google. So we're ranking high in the hierarchy there. So back up here. Okay. Again, as we talked about visitors to the community and the soccer tournament I mentioned earlier, we had guests in town for 2011, of September of 2011, and June of this year. We'll have that for 2 more years. And so this is going to be an excellent portal for those visitors to come to. When they come to Blue Springs, they need to find out where to go. So when the All-Star Game was in town in July, we also had a promotion on the site, and I think it worked out well. We had 5 buttons printed up with the baseball theme. I'm a Blue Springs fanatic, so I think they went fast. We distributed them to local businesses, and people wore them throughout the All-Star weekend and game, and they were a hit. We had to get a quick reorder. And just a small note on that, we had 30 of the buttons in a Girl Scout troop to Europe to trade with other Girl Scouts in Europe and Spain. So I'm assuming in about 50 years it'll be a collector's item. The local shops will be looking for those. So the same buttons and posters were seen in our community for the Wood Bat Tournament and guests. Some of the comments we heard on the site were, thanks, I appreciate Blue Springs hospitality, love the Fanatic buttons, and Little Blue was a hit at the Wood Bat Tournament. People were chasing him down to get pictures with him. So the mascot is making a difference with the program. So basically, with both of the programs, we've made some impact. But buying local right now is huge, especially more than ever with the economy being down a little bit. Small business is the driving force behind the recovery, in my opinion. I'm a small business owner, so I'm a little biased, but I think most of you will agree with me. And small business is creating jobs right now. So this is the whole premise of Buy Local and why we're pushing this so strongly, because we're seeing the results, and we want this to be a permanent program within the city. And with your support, I think that can happen. We've got great support with the Chamber and within the community. So I think we want to thank you very much for your past support and future support. Our next steps. Basically, we would like to ask the mayor and council to continue to fund the program at its current level. We need to enter another agreement. The last one was for 2 years, and you can see I've outlined some potential dates for your consideration. We plan to come back and update you annually, as we have over the last several years and the forthcoming years. So basically, that's us. And love to field any questions.
Are there any questions of the council?
Your Honor,
Yes, John.
I'd like to talk about the billboards. I'm not a big fan of billboards, and it bothers me every time I drive past those billboards. Honestly, no disrespect to whoever's idea it was, I think it's a complete waste of money. It's too far out to do any good. The billboards go by just like that, and I can't believe that Gary Cobb has one more bowler because we have a billboard in Concordia.
Well, initially, we got a great deal on it, as they call it, a great deal. And I think it was 2 years ago we initially started this, and with the support of the local businesses that paid for, I think, at least half of the billboards itself, and then the program paid for the other half. And that has expired, as we have said. So we'll not renew those. And I think we got a little bit of play out of it, not a whole lot. But I think it was a timing issue with a volunteer that was working with this. So she got us a great deal, as I talked about, and is not now a volunteer with us. So I don't think it's even an option for us to continue with it.
Any idea how much they cost?
What was our initial outlay on
We spent in year one, which was 2011, $600.
For all four?
this?
And the billboards that had the company's names on were paid for by the companies. We had 6 months donated to the program, and then we paid 6 months. So we paid $100 a month for 6 months.
And that's minimal, as you know. It
is.
A billboard like that averages probably a couple grand, every 6 months.
Right.
So we got it. That's a great deal. It was a very good deal. So, but our plans are not to continue that source of advertising. The website has really been the key to get the word out right
All
now.
right,
Any
thanks.
other questions, Council? If not, thank you for your presentation. I suppose that we need to have staff work on the agreement, unless there's objection by the council. The budget that we're looking at tonight does not include this. It does include that.
Your Honor, if it's the consensus of the council that you'd like us to work on this, we will update the agreement. We'll bring that back to you at the next possible moment. And as we were preparing the budget that's actually before you tonight, we took into consideration that this presentation would be occurring, and we have accounted for the funding for this should that be the consensus and adoption by the council.
Okay, very good. Without objection, we'll proceed accordingly.
Thank you
so
very much.
for coming. All you in the T-shirts, if you want to go ahead and stay for the rest of the council meetings and go into the budget, feel free to. Otherwise, you certainly feel free to excuse yourselves. Okay, next is the budget. Mr. Johnson.
Your Honor, I'd like to introduce one exhibit for the public hearing on the 2012-2013 city budget. It includes a City Council information form from Finance Director Christine Cates with attachments, budget in brief, and affidavit of publication is advertised in the Blue Springs Examiner on August 15th, 2012. I'd like to enter those into the record. And if Your Honor, if you would allow me just a couple of minutes, I will make a couple of brief comments. The budget that you have before you tonight is consistent with what was submitted to the City Council on August the 1st, 2012, which meets with the requirement in the city charter. It's also consistent with the work session that the City Council had on August the 16th, in which you gave me the opportunity to discuss what's included in the budget. And the budget that is proposed is $72,043,744. It is balanced based upon revenues that we are projecting. There is increases in the operating budget, which were discussed at the work session, and those primarily relate to the fact that this will be the first full year that we bring on all of the positions and the capital that was approved by the voters in 2011. That's for the dedicated public safety sales tax. And it also includes the capital expenditures necessary to move forward with the expansion and remodel of the public safety building, which was also approved by the voters. Those are the keys that are affecting the budget and the growth and the increase. The capital improvement budget is consistent with the program that you adopted on July 16th, 2012, with the one item that I mentioned in my budget message and at the work session that I've accounted for $75,000 for a feasibility study related to a community center. And I will conclude my, one more comment. This budget does meet and maintains all of our reserves and our contingency funds. We are not spending those down, so they are maintained as they have been in the past few budgets that you have seen. We're happy to answer any questions that you have, and certainly Finance or Assistant City Administrator Christine Cates can field any questions that you have.
Okay, for the public hearing, we'll keep it up here. Council members, any comments? Seeing none, we'll take it to the public. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? In support of? In opposition to? Opposition to? We'll close this public hearing. Now, who would like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill Number 4235, an ordinance appropriating from the revenue of the City of Blue Springs, Missouri, expenditures in accordance with the 2012-2013 annual budget of the City of Blue Springs, Missouri. And just a reminder, we're only asking for the first reading of this ordinance tonight.
Is there a motion?
Move the bill be approved on its first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Councilman Fowler?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and thank staff for all the work that they put into this. And I know that's not only finance, but that's everybody that gets in those budget discussions, and to all the city leadership, thanks. I know you put a lot into this. So a lot of interesting trade-offs and decisions were made this year. A lot of good initiatives out there. My growing concern, and I think you guys hear me from time to time on this, is that from 2005 to 2012, we went from 20 million in debt to over 100 million in debt. I don't see, when I look at page 373, going out to the year 2040, that's too long for debt for me. And I want us to, I think there should be more debt reductions, so I won't be supporting this budget tonight. Just think that we're too debt heavy as an organization.
Okay. Councilman Clavelle?
Your Honor, yeah, I'd like to discuss briefly increasing the EDC budget by $10,000 more than what's in this budget. We had a pretty good discussion about it, I think, at the work session, and I'd like to offer that as a motion to amend the budget by increasing the EDC line item by $10,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No?
Motion carries 5-1. Councilman Levesey?
I too have an amendment, Your Honor. We also discussed a little bit in the work session, population that seems to be underserved, specifically as it relates to the OATS contract. There is no provision in the current OATS contract to serve disabled individuals. It was brought to our attention by a resident. And from discussion with staff, it seems to be we can provide that for a pretty nominal cost. I think the number that was mentioned at the work session was $5,000. And so I'd like to offer the amendment to raise that portion in the OATS contract to an additional $5,000.
You heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next.
We're still on first reading. We need to vote on
Oh, we didn't
As
vote on
amended.
first reading.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
Is there a motion
Your-
to?
Your Honor, before we do that, I'd just like to ask Councilman Fowler a question. You talk about the debt, which I'm troubled by the debt as well. How much of that amount that you're talking about was voter approved?
I
the
think
public.
the biggest line item on there wasn't. So the biggest debt in the
What's-
history of Blue Springs wasn't voter
What's the
approved.
biggest line item?
Page 373. There's a couple bonds in there that the city has decided to take on for the developers. You know, there was no public vote where the voters said, hey, let's go out and do this. Largest debt ever in the history of Blue Springs, taken on by I think there was 4 people in these chairs. So, and I think that should have been a vote by the public myself.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may offer this, I think we may have discussed this at the work session before Councilman Fowler arrived, and so he didn't have the opportunity to be part of that discussion. But I did ask Christine Cates to provide some information. Its context, and there's no doubt the debt service has grown with all of the initiatives that have occurred here in the community. When we issue bonds to manage and take care of infrastructure needs, those were voter approved. That adds to our debt service. I think Councilman Fowler is referring to the bonds for the Adams Dairy Landing project, and we're taking on debt for the public safety building. In 2003, debt service made up approximately 8% of the city's total budget. And in 2012, 2013, it now makes up approximately 14% of our total expenditures. And I believe, Christine, correct me if I'm wrong, the state has a formula that establishes and caps the maximum amount of debt that municipalities can incur. And we are approximately 25% or 26% of what the state allows us to have. I wouldn't propose that we go the full amount there, Councilman, but in terms of what
Stay within the
the
law.
state allows, I just wanted you to have those talking points and those comments.
Any further discussion? Okay. We have a motion to approve the first reading as amended. Okay? Yeah, as amended with the 2 amendments on it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
5-1, motion carries. Okay, next we have an introduction and reading of Bill 4236.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
All right.
First reading of Bill Number 4236, an ordinance approving the final plat for Eagles Ridge PRO, second plat, amended replat of Eagles Ridge PRO, first plat, lots 45 through 60 and 69 through 85.
Move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no?
Second reading of Bill Number 4236, an ordinance approving the final plat for Eagles Ridge PRO, second plat, amended replat of Eagles Ridge PRO, first plat, lots 45 through 60 and 69 through 85.
Move the bill be approved on its second reading and assign the appropriate ordinance number.
Is there a second? Second. Discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Lucy?
Aye.
Councilman Fowler?
Aye.
Councilman Carter?
Aye.
Councilman Edmondson?
Aye.
Councilman Bowerman?
Aye.
Councilman Clavel?
Aye.
Carried unanimously, giving an ordinance number 4412.
That brings us to mayoral announcements. We have thoughts to ponder. Comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. The reward of a thing well done is to have done it. That concludes my mayoral announcements. I have no visitors' appearance forms. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? We're adjourned.